Calling, oh, hey, oh, yeah, me telling. About your style, never small thing. Look in your eyes, know you want me. Yeah, yeah. Oh,
Hello, good afternoon everybody and welcome back to the channel. It's Clarice here and yet again we're in the kitchen. And today we are going to, I think I said in the previous video that I'm going to make some fermented sauerkraut. Now to some people it might sound a wee bit, but it's absolutely delicious. And I make it in smaller jars instead of the big pint jars because when I open a jar I cannot stop eating it until it's finished. The fermentation process is actually easy as pie. Make sure absolutely every single thing that you've got is sterilised. Your hands, if they've been washed, wash them again. Everything has got to be absolutely spotless. So jars, hands, and as you know I've got diverticular, oh I thought it was getting easier than saying that, but I know indeed I still cannot say it. I'm all for foods and everything that I need to take to make my gut, should I say, as healthy as possible. And I think everybody in this day and age should be doing the same, and that is what this fermented sauerkraut did. So I printed this out this afternoon. I know how to do it myself, but I thought I would add on the little health benefits that you do indeed get from sauerkraut. It is, of course, incredibly nutritious, healthy, provides probiotics for your stomach, for your gut, vitamin K2. It's very, very good for low impact inflammation of your joints, stomach, whole body actually. There's lots of other nutrients inside it. Eating sauerkraut may help you strengthen your immune system, improve your digestion, reduce your risk of certain diseases, and even help in you losing weight. So that's why I printed it out, because I wanted to keep all this together, and I'm going to make a wee folder up with every single thing that I've been doing the past couple of weeks, and my Hello Fresh recipe cards. So let's go and get this beautiful German delicacy, this fermented cabbage or sauerkraut on the go. Right, I think that's about okay there. I have left my tripod down in Chez Clarice, and possibly a little video coming up with an arter. It's been a while since we've had an arter. I have got dry lavender to pick off all the stalks, so we'll have a wee natter at some point. Anyway, let's go. We do have one cabbage. I have weighed this and it's about just over 2 pounds in weight. What you want salt wise is about a tablespoon of salt to a pound of cabbage. So I am actually going to put 3 tablespoons in this, because you need the brine that comes out of the cabbage for covering up your cabbage, your shredded cabbage, once it's in the jars. As I said, I am going to be using these wee jars because I could eat a full one of them just on its own, and we'll see how much I can get out of that. But because I like to leave it, you can leave this 15 minutes and then start putting it into your jars, guys. Sorry, you can't get both me and the cabbage in. I like to leave it overnight. So said cabbage has been rinsed. As you can see, it's slightly damp. Then what is important is any dodgy leaves. Obviously you don't want them in any jars at all. So take off any dodgy leaves. Give this a wee slip, because the next important thing is keep, I would say 2. I would maybe keep 2, because I'm hoping to get 4 jars out of this. So that's quite a small one. Is there anything? That one there is not as big as the last one. It's not one of the biggest cabbages. See, that's all right, that breaking off there. So there we go. I'm going to put these and stick these in the fridge because we'll need these later on. So what you want to do, lovely peeps, after this, oh, watch your fingers, is cut said cabbage in half, and take out the hard core. So just have a wee look and make sure there's no any wee kind of dodgy bits, and I've just seen a wee black mark there, so see, right in the cabbage. So that's the kind of thing you're looking for. You're not wanting any nastiness inside there at all. And then it's a case of cutting them into strips. If you've got a food processor and a shredder, then this is going to be obviously an awful lot quicker. And it actually doesn't bother me if I've got big thick bits of sauerkraut, because I absolutely love it, as I have previously stated. And then cut that again. Move that to the side like so. Cubes, I'll show you in a minute. I've got my big bowl at the side. Some strips and some little cubes. Go again. Very careful again if you're using a very sharp knife, obviously. Get that in the bowl. So there you go, that's what I usually do. It's usually like that. But as I said, not today. There we go, that's my normal. That's just a wee mixture of everything today. I'm just going through that, see if there's no more wee black bits. There you go, there's just over £2 worth of cabbage. So what we do now is we pop that in the colander and we give it a right good rinse. Right, so there we go, that's it all rinsed with lovely cold water. And I've rinsed my hands again as well. And next up we do have the salt. Himalayan salt. I did manage to get the lid off, thank goodness for that. As I said, we have 3 tablespoons, which is 6 teaspoons of your salt. Once you've got your salt in, you get in with your spotlessly clean hands and you massage it all in. There will be a little bit of water residue from when you gave it a good rinse, which is good. Which is fine and dandy, because sometimes you do not get enough of the brine, as this cabbage, when you put them in your jars, this cabbage has got to 100% be covered with none of it sticking through the top at all, or it will go mouldy and fusty. And this gives you a chance as well of giving you another look to make sure you've not got any little bits like that shouldn't be in there. And the water that is getting released by the cabbage is starting to come out already, which is fantastic. As I said, 15 minutes and this should be ready for going into jars. Usually I weigh this down and cover it up and leave it overnight, but because of the weather I'm not going to do that. So what we need to do now, there we go, that is your cabbage. What I'm going to do now is put a bigger plate as I can on top of this to weigh it down, and then possibly another weight on the top. And I have been making my canned tomatoes. 3 of my jars on top of that. And that'll help, where are we guys? And that'll help bring out all the juices, all the brine from the cabbage. If you do manage to have some weights, you can cover it with weights. But because of the height of those tomato dishes, then I'll just cover it with a tea towel. So that's to be left at room temperature, and I think we'll come back and have another look at that in about 20 minutes. That full tub of cabbage that was right over the top has produced 3, and that's the last one, so that'll be the first one that will get opened. So what you do next, this here has got the brine, as you can see it's not an awful lot, it's got the brine in it from your salted cabbage. You want to top up each jar until it's just over the top. Can you see that there? Now if you run out of brine, what I'm going to do, you would substitute it with some filtered water if you've got it, or bottled water. Do not be using any water out of the sink because it's got chlorine in it. So I'm going to need a wee bit more, so I'll go and get another bottle of water. Normally you would add a little bit of salt to your water, but since I put just a tad more than what was needed for the recipe, I have indeed got enough salt as far as I'm concerned inside these jars. And let's go on to the final and last piece of this recipe. Right, now this is where your lovely cabbage leaves comes in. So I will use the top of my lid face down, and with a knife I shall grind the sides till I've got a little disc. Like so. Then you take your jar, I'll use the one with the least in it, just to show you, because you need this cabbage fully submerged. Put the lid on tight, I just basically set it in maybe one tub. Alright, I'm just going to cut another wee bit of this disc off. And let's see if we can get it in here. And firm that right down. You can see there with my fingers in the screen. Don't bother about that label that's on the front of that jar. There you go, do you see that? So the brine is above both the cabbage and the cabbage leaf. Now if you've got plastic lids, then use your plastic lids. I'm just using what I've got there, but it's just one quick turn. And then we'll move on to the next one, but it was just a little bit too big. Put that in there. And again, push it right down. You can see a full jar does go down to about half, but it fluffs up again once it's all been fermented. And what we got on the top there's a couple of little bits of cabbage there which I am taking out. And one turn and set that to the side. Take this one out again as it's just a little bit too big. Then we go with clean hands. And push down. That's what I'm saying, if you've got a weight that fits all of your jars, then that's great. But if not, then just push and push and push. So that's it, that's your fermented cabbage, your sauerkraut ready for, I think because of the heat I'm absolutely sweltering. I'm going to leave them sitting here for a couple of hours, and then before I go to my bed I think I'm going to just pop them in the fridge. keep an eye on them, check them every 3-4 days, and after a couple of weeks I'll just check them once a week. And if you see anything mouldy or it doesn't smell right, then you discard it, and it's a case of trying again, I'm afraid, guys. So, alright, sauerkraut, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Oh, I wish it was ready.